comment for me as you come in, guys. It does a ton for the channel, for the video itself, pushes it through that algorithm. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already subscribed, guys. And I hope your week has been good to you thus far. So, as per usual, guys, I got the menu up of what we're going to be digesting. Some pretty quick clips tonight, and that's for a reason. I'm actually working on shortening the clips that we're reacting to here on the channel. I like context a lot, but that doesn't mean that I want to always react to like a 12-minute clip or even 11-minute clip. So I'm going to shorten them. I think 8 minutes is 8 minutes max is good, right? I would say probably 3 minutes minimum. Like I said, context is king for me. So sometimes it's easy to take a real short clip and like just do whatever you want with it, pervert it, spin it. And the media does that enough, so I want to do my best to not do that. But we are going to shorten the clips. So, because over here on Cozy Corner TV, I am a huge advocate for mental health and wellness. I like to say, please make sure you are grounded and or regulated before you digest this content. If you're not right now, come back and watch it later. But if you are, welcome to the live stream. All right, guys. First up on the menu, we got shout out to Fox 35 Orlando. It's a reason why we're in Florida. We got 8 arrested in Florida, undocumented immigrant driver's license scheme. So I know a little bit about this. I don't want to ruin it, but let's just say that these licenses were not being earned. They were being sold and brought. So very dangerous. Not just driver's license, personal driver's licenses, but commercial. So we have people out there also driving trucks, tractor trailers without driver's licenses they actually earned. They didn't pass tests. They didn't pass a road test. So this is pretty dangerous. Then we're going to switch gears and go over to the Rubin Report. Shout out to the Rubin Report. If you guys don't watch the Rubin Report, go over there and check the channel out. We got Dave Rubin over there with 2.94 million subscribers. So you guys go check that out. I think he does a spectacular job on covering news, commentary, politics, social things, all the things. So go check him out. We got this fight over Iran was so big, it could be the end of this host of The View. So, you know, Whoopi got some backlash for some things she said. It seems like, I think it was her and Alyssa that went back and forth a little bit. So we'll take a look at that. Then we're going to switch gears and still stay with the Rubin Report where Dave covered legal immigrant has a brutal message for immigrant protesters that's going viral now. I find this interesting. I covered this yesterday on a live stream where I said a lot of people in America need to wake up, especially on the far left liberal side, where we have them saying things like, oh, President Trump is ruining the lives of people, of immigrants that live here in America. And we literally have legal immigrants here that did the right thing, that became legal citizens, that they are in legal standing, and they're literally looking at far left liberals like, what is wrong with you? In my own country, this wouldn't be able to stand. So why are you guys okay with this many illegal aliens coming into your country and not doing the right thing? And you guys are literally like fighting for them to stay. You have legal immigrants putting up this type of fight, looking at far left liberals like, are you guys good? So we're going to take a look at that clip. Then we'll switch gears and shout out to Fox Business. We got a representative from Florida, Byron Donald's response to Governor Desantis' comments after election announcement. So Governor Desantis went on the record to he didn't say anything I would say that was you know, facetious per se, but what he said was that, you know, Florida has experienced some victories in the past few years, and Byron Donald just hasn't been a part of many of those victories. I mean, I think it was a little bit of a low blow. You know, it didn't seem like he was trying to pick a fight or anything, but still, it was a little bit of a shot, and that could be because we know he has his wife running for governor, which I think is crazy. And so do a lot of people from Florida. They really look at it like it's going to be another term of him, which some people don't think that that's a bad thing, but they think that Byron is actually decent and he deserves a chance. So I, for one, agree with that. I like Byron Donalds. I am a fan, so shout out to Byron. I hope he does great in Florida, just like I'm rooting for Vivek over in Ohio. So I hope they both do well. I think they both are great candidates for the states that they are running for. Shout out to the chat. We got Unlimited Soup and Salad. Shout out to you. Nice name. I can dig it. This channel is a listen to your way, Uncle Rand Thanksgiving Simulator. And then he got, let's see what else we got. President Trump is ruining the lives of people ruining the lives of people of immigrants living in America. Some people feel like that, Unlimited. Some people feel like that. If you feel like that, I'm not upset about that. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I'm a person that can agree to disagree. I don't get in my feelings about things like that. There are some people who do feel like President Trump is ruining the lives of immigrants living in America. And then there are a lot of legal immigrants that are like, why are you Americans acting so crazy about this many illegal people being in your country? This is where I think it gets interesting, because when you have the legal immigrants stepping up and talking out, and the legal immigrants are like, yeah, you guys are crazy, because in my native country, they wouldn't stand for this. I just think we got to check ourselves a little bit. That's all. So we're going to jump to the first clip of the live stream. We got Fox 35 Orlando, 8 arrested in Florida. Undocumented immigrant driver's license scheme. So let's take a listen. Let me make sure I got the volume up on here for you guys. It should be up.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Friday morning. We're on Fox Local and on YouTube. 8 people have been arrested so far in what officials are calling an illegal immigrant driver's licensing scheme. 2 of those people arrested were employees with essentially the DMV, with the county tax collector's office in Bay County, where investigators say those employees were offering licenses in exchange for cash. That the folks they were offering them to never had to take the written test, never had to take the driving test. Attorney General James Upmeyer was in Bay County yesterday afternoon with the Bay County Sheriff Tommy Ford, as they talked about this case and why they say it's so serious.
These weren't minor shortcuts. These were intentional acts of corruption where individuals paid bribes in exchange for skipping critical safety evaluations. The investigation also led us to arrest 5 additional individuals who were acting as brokers running.
So you see what the sheriff says right here. He says, let me go back a little bit.
Yes.
These weren't minor shortcuts. These were intentional acts of corruption where individuals paid bribes in exchange for skipping critical safety evaluations.
So he says they weren't minor shortcuts. These were intentional acts of corruption. And they skipped a lot of safety precautions in the process.
The investigation also led us to arrest 5 additional individuals who were acting as...
It said where individuals paid bribes in exchange for skipping critical safety evaluations.
Brokers running local businesses that claimed to assist with immigration paperwork, but instead arranged illegal transactions and funneled aliens from as far away as Miami to obtain licenses fraudulently. Let me be clear that putting untested, unqualified drivers, especially those with commercial licenses, on our roads is an unacceptable risk of every family in the state. These licenses were essentially sold, not earned. That means we have individuals on the road, possibly operating tractor trailers, who never demonstrated the basic skills to do so safely.
Tractor trailers.
Not a paperwork issue, it's a direct threat to highway safety and a betrayal of the public trust. The scope of this investigation: yesterday we seized over $120,000 in illicit proceeds tied to this operation. Evidence suggests that hundreds, if not more than 1,000 fraudulent driver's licenses were issued as part of this scheme. It's been ongoing for over 2 years, and this investigation is continuing to be ongoing and will expand statewide as we work to identify those who receive licenses illegally and hold all parties accountable. Each license issued could result in felony criminal charges for the license holder, and our investigation will be expanded by our state partners to hold these individuals accountable. A search warrant was executed yesterday at a business in Callaway called Cuba Max, which is involved in processing immigration documents. Again, I want to commend the outstanding teamwork and partnership of our investigators and some multi-agency effort with close coordination between law enforcement, the tax collector's office, and other state and local partners. This is the kind of teamwork it takes to root out corruption and protect our citizens. I'd also like to commend our tax collector, Chuck Perdue. As soon as he was made aware of this investigation, he became an investigator himself. He worked with us closely to make sure that these individuals were held accountable. Certainly a difficult situation when individuals in your office choose to do the wrong thing, but the important part is that we hold them accountable when we do that. So Chuck, thank you for your efforts. So I want to talk about the individuals that we arrested. The tax collector employees are Vanseli Velazou, age 37, of Panama City, charged with 9 counts of DMV employee issuing a fraudulent ID, which is a felony, and nine counts of official misconduct. Demetrius Smith II, age 30, of Panama City, on 8 counts of DMV issuing a fraudulent ID and 8 counts of official misconduct. And additional charges are anticipated as each fraudulent driver's license can result in additional charges. The intermediaries that we arrested, who were the individuals that the aliens...
Yeah, he said each driver's license, each fraudulent driver's license can result in additional charges, each. So they're saying like the first guy made 9 licenses and the second guy made 8. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Would contact, and they would be referred to our 2 tax collector employees. Were a Nirvas Rosales, age 37. She was arrested on 24 counts of principal to DMV fraud and 24 counts as a principal to official misconduct. Leonardo Gutierrez, age 32, of Panama City, 7 counts of principal to DL fraud and 7 counts of official misconduct. Hung Du, age 58, of Panama City, on 36 counts of principal to fraud and 36 counts of official misconduct. Esbredia Para, age 44, Panama City, 7 counts of principal to DL fraud and 7 counts of principal to official misconduct. Zola Gonzalez Pena, age 38, 12 counts. Also arrested but not identified as operating as an intermediary was Myrna Fernandez of Panama City on a charge of unlawful possession of a driver's license. It's believed that Fernandez obtained her driver's license fraudulently yesterday, paying to receive a passing grade on her exam and the skills exam.
Paid to receive a
but to those who think that they can compromise public safety for profit, know this: we will find you, we will bring you to justice. And to the people of Bay County, I want you to know we're committed to preserving the integrity of our institutions and the safety of our roads. Thank you, and I'd like to turn it over to our Attorney General.
Thank you, Sheriff. It's good to be in Bay County. This county is certainly blessed to have great law enforcement and leaders. I commend the Sheriff and Tax Collector Chuck Perdue on working so well with state law enforcement, Homeland Security, and all of our law enforcement partners to ensure that we could bust these guys. I think today is yet another example of how the Biden border policy puts American families at risk. Here you've got hundreds of aliens that are cheating, that are breaking the law, that are buying driver's licenses without taking the test, getting on the roads, putting everybody in danger. So, if there's any silver lining to come out of this terrible, discovery, it's that law enforcement worked very well together, continued to follow the breadcrumbs, and ultimately uncovered, a pretty widespread and advanced operation. So we know it happened here. If it happened here, there's a good chance it could be happening in a county somewhere else. So I ask, our DMV offices or tax collectors around the state, pay attention, do a deep dive, look out for, any signs of somebody taking cash on the side to help criminal aliens get driver's licenses. Maybe that can happen in California, but not here in Florida. We are a rule of law state. And we will do everything we can to work with the Trump administration and our federal partners to enforce the law. We've been working up and down the state, ensuring that we're keeping people safe. We were in Brevard County earlier this morning, where we highlighted a new program to protect the ICE agents and the federal authorities that are coming into our state to enforce the law. In California, you've got leftist groups out there that want to reveal personal information. They want to dox agents. If you don't understand this word, if it's new to you, doxing is when you reveal personal identifying information with the purpose of intimidating, threatening, distracting from official duties. We want these guys here. They're protecting our families, and while they protect our families, we're going to protect theirs. So we've set up this new program where ICE and federal authorities can work with our troopers, and if there's any evidence of personal information getting out, we want to know. We'll ensure that we're doing routine checkups and get a detail to protect the agents and their families. As we go into the weekend, I know there's been some rumblings about protests and demonstrations. We've all seen the horror in California with the destruction, the violence, the flames, the anti-American behavior. That doesn't happen here. In Florida, rioting is illegal. If you throw something, if you obstruct roadways, if you want to cause damage or harm to law enforcement, businesses, or our citizens, we will find you and we will put you away for a long time. So to put everybody on notice, if you want to participate in, peaceful free speech, nobody respects that more than we do. If you want to cause damage and destruction and engage in these violent demonstrations, we will shut it down fast. So again, a big thank you to the law enforcement here. Thanks to the sheriff for a very good job, well done. Thanks to our federal partners. And we'll continue to investigate. We'll continue to make sure that Florida is the safest state in the country.
Not sure if you saw the news, but Fox News is claiming President Trump is declining.
He's not playing. They're saying, listen, this is not, one headline said about this particular story, they said, listen, this is not California. Like, they were not playing when it comes to this thing. He said, it is illegal here to do that. If you want to peacefully protest and you want to voice your opinion, that's fine. He's like, but if you throw something, if you break something or you do any of that, we will fine you. We will lock you up. It is against the law to do things like that. So I can appreciate Florida laying a smackdown. Okay, listen, this 8 immigrants illegal, this driver license scheme is crazy, because we're not even talking about okay, they're driving Hondas and Honda CRVs, you know what I'm saying, like Toyota Camrys. We're talking about tractor trailers. Tractor trailers. Dude, I'm just thinking about all of the horrible accidents that can happen. Like here in America, we haven't seen 15 car pileups on highways and things like that. And I'm thinking to myself, you paid to get a passing exam. You paid to get a passing grade on your exam and your skills test. So you actually don't know any signs. You don't know what anything means, whether it's telling you to merge left, merge right, roads closed up ahead. You only know the obvious stuff, right? Like maybe stop, go, yield a little bit. And you didn't even pass the skills test. So you probably can't do a 3-point turn, right? You probably don't even know what a 3-point turn is. You probably are going to do a U-turn somewhere where you can't. It's just, it's crazy. Just to think about how many 9 licenses here, 8 here, 24 here, 7 here. And the guy said that the scheme has been going on for at least 2 years. So I'm thinking to myself, how many people in that state right now are driving around with the driver's license and they didn't pass any written exam or any type of skills test? That's pretty scary. All right, guys, so we're going to switch gears and we're going to go over to the Rubin Report. Shout out to Dave over at the Rubin Report. This fight over Iran was so big, it could be the end of this host of The View. So let's take a listen. Whoopi got some backlash for this, so let's listen. Let's see how deep Dave goes into this. I haven't gotten a chance to watch all of this yet.
Not everybody feels that way. Listen, I'm sorry. When you think about the fact that we got the vote in 1965,
okay, they don't have free and fair elections in Iran. It's not even the same universe. They can't go out of their house.
All right, so let's jump over to The View. And, I was playing basketball last night. A friend of mine said to me, Dave, I love the show. I love the show, watching the show all the time. You make so much sense. Why are you always showing the clips of the ladies of The View? And I have this constant battle about this. For some reason, they have lodged themselves into the mainstream psyche of America. And until that gets dislodged, I think they need to be called out on it, because it's getting more and more hysterical. And I guess the piece that I'm really amazed by is not that Whoopi says stupid things, and it's not that Sonny's racist. It's that it is a giant corporate-backed show. So what I'm much more curious about is, why does the ABC news and entertainment divisions, why do they back this ridiculous show saying completely insane, this is a top 10 stupid thing for Whoopi, which is not an easy list to crack? Go.
Just remember, too, the Iranians literally throw gay people off of buildings. They don't understand basic human rights.
Listen, here's the thing. Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
The Iranian regime is
just hanging black people. So
it's not even the same. I couldn't step forward.
That's not what you mean to say. It is the same.
No, it's not. The year 2025 in the United States is nothing like if I step foot wearing this outfit into that have been killed for
I'm sorry.
I can't have my hair showing. I can't wear a skirt. I can't have my arms out.
I'm telling you,
I literally said it was up to the Iranian people.
Yes, and that's why I am saying that it is the same. Murdering someone for their difference is not good, whoever does it. It's not good. So that's why I said you weren't saying what I heard was not what you meant.
I think it's very different to live in the United States in 2025 than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Guys, don't go to Iran. You know, and
Let me tell you about being in this country. This is the greatest country in the world. But yeah, I know that, and we all know that. But every day we are worried. Do we have to be worried about our kids? Are our kids going to get shot because they're running through somebody's neighborhood? They are not big deals, and I don't mean to say they're not big deals to you, because that's not what I meant.
And they are not doing well there either. They are not doing well in Iran. They are not educated. They
Just talking about the
cannot
United
be
States.
I'm talking about
nobody wants to diminish the very real problems we have in this country. That was no one's intent. But I think it's important we remember there are places much darker than this country, and people who deserve rights.
Not everybody feels that way. Not everybody feels that way. Listen, I'm sorry.
I gotta interrupt here though, because to Alyssa's point, when she's saying that there are places that are much darker than America, it's a part of me that wants to say to Whoopi Goldberg, have you traveled anywhere? Like, do you know any world history? There are places that are very dark compared to America. Now, Whoopi Goldberg is saying, not if you're black, right? And that's because she's going off of, now, me and Whoopi Goldberg are not the same age, right? I am not somebody who hates Whoopi Goldberg. Listen, I grew up watching her on television, right? Some of the most famous movies Whoopi Goldberg was in, right? We have, and I can't even name all of them, but just as a young child, some that come to mind, we have Ghosts with Patrick Swayze, right? When he got shot and then he's able to come back and like talk to his girlfriend and she's some type of fortune teller in the movie. We got like the Sister Act series. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on. Whoopi's been all over the place, even in regular TV. So I'm not somebody who hates Whoopi, but it's like, do I feel like she sometimes panders? I do feel like that, right? And it's like, when she says the not if you're black part, she's going off of the incidences like Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd. We can just hear that based on the examples that she's using. Like, we have to worry about our children if this and if that. So I don't think Alyssa's taken away from that. I think what Alyssa is saying is that, yeah, we do have some problems here in America that we can all say like these are issues and these are problems, but there are countries where like there are things that are so much darker than this happening. Like when she goes to the gay thing, right? And she says in Iran they will throw you off of a building if you're gay. And Whoopi Goldberg says, well, we can't do that, because if we're gonna pick on that, then we have to say here in America they have tied gay people to a car. Yes, that has happened as a violent act of hate, right? That is not something that is policy in America. This is what Alyssa's referring to. She's saying like, no. In Iran, it doesn't matter who you are or what skin color you are. If they find out you are gay, you're going to be thrown off of a building. And this is something that they can legally do, because being gay, it's actually illegal to be gay in certain countries. But you wouldn't know that because in America you have so much freedom. But it literally is actually illegal in certain countries to be gay. So when Alyssa is saying this, she's not trying to take away from what's happening in America. But what she's saying is that if you are gay in America or if you are black in America, you're not going to be killed because of those reasons, right? Are there violent acts of hatred that happen in America? Absolutely, we're not taking away from that. But in a place like Iran, in a place that has a regime like Iran does, if you are even a gay person, you can get thrown off a building if that's found out about you. If you are a woman that wears a skirt or shows skin, or you dress a certain way, you can be stoned and are in prison for something like that. And that is not the same in America. So this is why I can see why now Whoopi would have got some backlash for this.
You think about the fact that we got the vote in 1965.
Okay, they don't have free and fair elections in Iran. It's not even the same universe.
They can't go out of their house. The
You know what? There's no way I can make you understand.
Let me try something.
You try.
It's like
try to reverse roles with a black person in this country, let's say, because I think that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Just try to understand from their point of view. From that point of view, this country does not do them well, does not go for them.
completely
And we shouldn't compare atrocities.
If you're talking about Iran, of course, is doing worse things, but relatively speaking,
Well, you know
it feels
this.
bad on this
Okay, but I
side.
think you know that Iran is significantly
Well, I guess we're gonna come back and
Listen, I was in
we're gonna
college
come
when
back and
that
talk more about this.
Not if you're black. I mean, that it really it doesn't even. I don't want to curse today. I'm going to really try not to curse today. You know what I mean?
When the financial
Don't
elite
curse,
quietly
Dave.
build their wealth through crypto, everyday Americans have been left out until now. Americans with the same wealth built.
Dave, you know what I find helps me out if I pray before my live stream. If I pray before my live stream, the Holy Spirit is so good with that. He said I'm gonna try not to curse. I don't want to curse today.
What are you
Yeah,
saying?
man. Sometimes reacting to news and politics will make you feel that way.
Whoopi, first off, we tie gay folks to cars here in America. Yeah, maybe if they're looking for a good time. But
Oh my gosh.
no. I think maybe she's talking about the Matthew Shepard thing that happened about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Gay people are doing just fine. I went to South Beach recently. I don't go there that often. I had a smoothie at Pura Vida, and I saw some gay people. They were very happy, actually. They seemed to be doing just fine. That was my one experience of the week with gay people. As for black people, I also see black people around America. They seem to be doing just fine. Nobody's lynching. Well, actually, they get fake lynched like Jesse Smollett, so maybe that's what you were talking about, Whoopi. But the idea that it's like you need this country to be so horrible. And in your mind, I suppose it is, except that you're worth probably $50 million and you have your own security and you're getting the good ass weed. We know about that. Like, come on, ladies, stop with this nonsense. And I love actually when Alyssa Farah, again, the pet Republican who occasionally makes sense, and they give her the cookie, she's trying to make a point. Like, Iran is bad to their minorities. Let's not do that. This is the view. Let's not do that. Say something sensible.
He said, let's not do that. Say something sensible. And
Right,
I can
Amazon.
see why he alluded to that. Because like I explained, Alyssa was making sense. I don't think she was trying to take away from the bad things that, some bad experience, some acts of hatred that had taken place in America. But what I believe, at least from what I got from watching the clip, I believe she was alluding to the fact that there are regimes and places around the world where they do this for sport, and this is worked into their legislation. This is worked into their policies of their country. This is how they run it. Like, yeah, we can kill you if you're gay. We can kill you if you're a woman and you're doing this. And it's like America is not ran like that. Like, there are things in America that happen like that. That's why he used the Matthew Shepard example and the Jesse Smollett example. But what he's saying is that we don't do that in America for sport. Like, we don't take all the gay people in America and say, hey, we're about to toss all you guys off of a building, right? Like, now some people might feel like that when there's certain legislation getting passed, like, my government's killing me. But if we talk about from a physical standpoint, right? From causing bodily harm from a physical standpoint, that is not how America is ran. And that's what I think Alyssa was getting to. And the fact that there are countries that because of these certain things, it's not that you might be killed, you will be killed for these things. And I just think, there was a good point there that she was making to where they all could have came and it seemed like, hey, the view is actually coming central instead of high to the left and out of their mind, right? It seems like they're becoming more centralized. But Whoopi just had to bring up she has to bring up the race thing sometimes. And I'm just like, oh, Whoopi, why? All right, so we're going to switch gears a little bit. Still with the movement report. Shout out to Dave. Legal Immigrant has a brutal message for immigrant protesters. That's going viral now. So this is a legal immigrant. This is a woman who is from Brazil, and she is a U.S. citizen. She came here, and she has legal status, and she did things the right way. Let's listen to what she has to say.
If I thought Brazil was so much better, I would have stayed there. Someone explain to me why I am expected to respect and abide by everyone else's customs, literally everywhere else in the world, everywhere else I go except here.
I saw this yesterday. I was just making the rounds. It's a Brazilian immigrant talking about why she loves this country and what it's kind of like an Arnold version of this, that there's things that you're kind of responsible for when you come to America.
I moved over here from Brazil and I'm pretty much Americanized by now, in case you can't tell. It's been over 25 years. I'm now a proud American citizen and I've worked hard to adopt this country as my own and become a valuable part of this community. Let me introduce you to this word, which means to adopt something as one's own and become a part of it, which is what's supposed to be your job as an immigrant. So that means that I can come over here and introduce you to some cool stuff like guarana and farofa, but I'm not supposed to be coming over here and be an invasive species. That's not the reason I came. I came here to be one of you. If I thought Brazil was so much better, I would have stayed there. Someone explain to me why I am expected to respect and abide by everyone else's customs, literally everywhere else in the world, everywhere else I go except here. Oh, but some people are fighting political persecution. Okay, well, if your land and your country and your culture and all that's so much better than we are, then you stay there and you figure it out and you fix it. That sounds like a you problem. Basically put, if you're not coming over here to assimilate like me, you need to stay right where you are. Period, full stop.
I think she mentioned some Brazilian foods, but she didn't mention the Brazilian wax, which isn't that their number one export? But putting that aside for a second, yes, the word she was talking about, for those of you listening on the audio podcast, was assimilate. That is the whole idea of what we did here in America with the melting pot, that you come. This is what we all learned in 4th grade. If you come to America, and you probably did this in your class, I remember doing this. Literally, I think I did this in 4th grade. Mrs. Golden was our teacher, and they had a big pot. She drew like a big pot in cardboard cutout paper, and then we all took like our own little things that we had from our own cultures, and whether you were Italian or Jewish or Irish.
Give me a second, guys. We got some audio issues. Let me see something.
We all took like our own little things that we had from our own cultures, and whether you were Italian or Jewish or Irish or Greek or whatever it is, and we would put these things in, and it was all the idea of the melting pot. Yes, we have some different foods, we listen to some different music, our grandparents came from different places, but the pot is America. You assimilate into that, and it's a melting pot, so you get this delicious stew, as opposed to what they've done in Europe, which is where we get these very separate oil and water things, that you basically have water in Europe and they bring in oil and they don't mix, and then they kind of just separate, and it's not good when it gets real hot and splashes all over you. So yes, get on board what that lady is saying, and I love the fact that she comes from Brazil. It sounds like she has a Texas accent or something. Yeah. Like, it's just great. That's what America's about. Nobody cares that she happens to be a little browner than the average white person or anything else. She seems to love the country. Not seems. She loves the country. She wants it to be great, and she doesn't want people here who are here to destroy it, like pretty much the entire Democratic Party.
I mean, I would say she's a lot browner than the average white person, but I get what you're saying, Dave. But yeah, I mean, assimilate, and it's true. I remember that exercise that he's talking about. I remember in school too, and I was probably in about somewhere between 3rd and 5th grade. But yeah, learning about America being a melting pot. That's something that we actually learned in elementary school here. So yeah, assimilating is a thing. I just thought it was hilarious when I first saw the clip, and she talked about being a Brazilian immigrant. I was like, man, that's a strong Southern accent. Like, I heard it right away. So yeah, she definitely assimilated, and another person I could say that about is my wife. I remember the first time that I actually got a chance to speak to my wife on the phone, I did not even think she was from anywhere. Like, I literally thought she was from America just because the way that she spoke. Like, her English was literally flawless, and like, she did not have an accent at all. Now, my wife was originally born in Greece, but she came here when she was very young, and she was able to become of legal status. That's something that her mother worked on for her while she was a child, and as she grew up, they continued, and she became of legal status. But yes, like, literally, my wife, if she wants to use an accent, she can, but she literally speaks perfect English. Like, if you heard her speak, you would not even think that she's not from America. So yeah, I would say that she came here and she assimilated pretty well. I was very shocked, and when we did start to talk about it, I told her, I said, your English is very good, because I have friends in America that are from all over the place, and some of their English is extremely broken. My family, even though Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, my family that lives in Puerto Rico, like, a lot of them speak broken English. Like, we call it Spanglish. So it's kind of like they're not really speaking, they're mostly speaking Spanish, but if they come over and they try to speak English, it's more like Spanglish. So they're like half Spanish. Like they might start out with like the sentence might start in Spanish and end in English or vice versa, right? But my wife, like, she's very fluent in English. She does not use English words and mix them with Greek words, or if she's speaking, because she can speak 4 different languages, but she doesn't mix them. She doesn't mix her words up at all. Whatever language she's speaking, that's the language that she speaks. So when it comes to her speaking English in America, she's assimilated well, also to the point of where you can barely hear an accent. So now, I don't mean like an accent, like a twang, like the lady we watch has like that southern accent on her. I mean like she doesn't have an accent, like maybe she just sounds like just someone who's from, I don't know, if you had to point out a state in America based on just hearing my wife on the phone, you might think she's from like Pennsylvania or California or something like that. So it's like, yeah, she's assimilated well, and I think that that is a job, and I would do the same thing. If I was gonna leave the country with my wife and I was gonna go live in Greece, and I was gonna go as far as getting dual citizenship, at some point, like while I'm in Greece, I'm gonna do my best to assimilate while I'm in Greece. I'm not gonna just be in Greece and like drive around with my American flag like on my car, waving it in the street. And that's the thing, we're so used to doing certain things in America that we think we can go anywhere else and just do it, and that would be offensive in other countries, you know. So yeah, assimilate, that's the key word here. All right guys, so we're going to switch gears and go over to Fox Business. Representative Byron Donalds responds to Governor Desantis' comments after election announcement. Let's take a listen.
Florida Congressman Byron Donalds has announced, yes, he is entering the race for governor of Florida. President Trump has endorsed Donalds, but Governor Desantis has not.
My view is Donald Trump just got into office. I want these congressmen focused on enacting his agenda. The reality is you know, we've achieved victories in Florida. We need to start achieving those victories up there. So I think people look at it and say, you know, you got a guy like Byron. He just hasn't been a part of any of the victories that we've had here over these last years. He's just not been a part of it.
Well, look who's here now. Congressman Byron Donalds, the man himself. Desantis says you were not part of the victories. Would you like to respond to that?
No, not really. Listen, Stu, I'm just really thankful first to have the support of President Trump and have his complete and total endorsement to run to be the next governor of Florida. I would say in terms of what I've been able to accomplish in my time
I'm gonna run that back, but I just love Byron's demeanor. You gotta love that. You know, the host asked him, do you care to respond to that? And he goes, no, not really. You gotta love it.
Would you like to respond to that?
No, not really. Listen, Stu, I'm just really thankful first to have the support of President Trump and have his complete and total endorsement to run to be the next governor of Florida. I would say in terms of what I've been able to accomplish in my time in elected politics, when I was a freshman in the state legislature, I passed the first bill of its kind in the country that gave parents and community members an ability to actually examine what was in the textbook materials of students, so we could actually find out what was actually going on in the indoctrination of our kids. I passed that bill into law in the state legislature of Florida. Then Governor Rick Scott signed it. I also passed one of the major expansions of school choice at that time in Florida's history with the Hope Scholarship to help children who were being bullied in schools to give them an opportunity to go to another school of their choice and of their parents' choice. So I've been very successful in helping the move of school choice and also the move of the conservative movement through politics over the last decade. Look, my record speaks for itself. I'm very happy to have President Trump's support. And so right now, this is about the future of Florida, the voters of Florida, and doing everything possible to make sure that not only do we continue to be the best state in the country, but that we take it to new heights.
All right, Congressman, Republicans were able to push through the framework for Trump's big, beautiful bill last night. First step in funding the president's agenda and extending those tax cuts, very important. Can you give us a time frame for when we get the whole thing done and signed by the president?
Look, I think it's gonna be a lot of negotiations. If you were gonna ask me, I think probably around May maybe June, we probably all get it done. There's going to be major negotiations around some elements of tax policy, not the big stuff that the president talks about, not the major reauthorization of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. I think there's some other items that need to get worked out, and we'll get there. The center of this deal is going to be mandatory spending. There has to be mandatory spending reductions. We simply do not have a choice. What Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did is they massively expanded federal spending, and they used COVID-19 as an excuse. Our nation simply cannot afford that over the long term. We have to be realistic, we have to be efficient, and we have to be responsible. And so House Republicans working with Senate Republicans under the leadership of President Trump, we're going to get this done. But spending cuts is really going to be the linchpin to get this entire one big beautiful bill done into the president's desk as soon as possible.
You're introducing a bill to shut down the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. What's wrong with it? Why are you doing that?
Well, listen, this is legislation that I've filed every year I've been in Congress. The CFPB is one of the worst agencies ever created. It is a rogue agency that has little to no oversight from Congress or even from the executive branch. They go off and they put out memos, they put out notices, they walk in and out of companies with impunity. They don't even get their money from Congress. They go to the Federal Reserve and they just send a letter over there saying we need X amount of money, and the Fed gives it to them. That's how the CFPB was designed by Elizabeth Warren and the radical Democrats when they were moving Dodd-Frank. They designed it to be a rogue agency outside of the oversight of Congress. That does not respect our Constitution. It doesn't respect the will of the people, and that's why that agency must be closed.
Got it. Congressman Byron Donalds from Florida. Thanks for joining us, sir. We always appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Shout out to Congressman Byron Donalds for taking the high road as usual. I'm a fan of Byron Donalds, so listen, I hope he does well running for governor of Florida. I'm a fan of Vivek, so I hope he does well running for governor of Ohio. Both great states, both great representatives. So I'm wishing the best for them. You know, I like that he takes the high road. I mean, Governor Desantis, it was petty. You know, we've been a part of some wins, and Byron just hasn't been a part of that. And it's like, okay, he hasn't been a part of that, but he's a representative from your state. Like, really? I mean, whatever. Like, he has his wife running. You know, it's mixed emotion about that. Some people don't hate DeSantis, so they're like, it's not a bad thing. It's like kind of having him for a second time around. But a lot of people think Byron is decent, and I'm happy about that because there's also a lot of people that think he deserves a chance. I think, look, you got people saying Byron's going to keep Florida great. I think that Byron is a great choice, right? I said it already for Ohio. I was like, if they had any sense, they're going to vote for Vivek. My sister actually lives out in Ohio, so shout out to Ohio. She's talked to me about buying land out there with her and all kinds of things. So I'm like, well, who knows? If Vivek becomes governor, that might be possible. All right, guys, so we're going to switch to the last, but shout out to Byron Donalds for taking a high road. We're going to switch to the last clip of the live stream. Shout out to Cliff Buell, YouTube content creator who focuses on Christian content. First name Cliff, last name Buell. Check out his channel if you get a chance. Tonight's title is A Muslim Honestly Reads the Bible. Let's take a listen.
Watch this. You know what shook me as a Muslim? I used to say the Bible was written by too many people over too many years. Like that was a gotcha. Then I read the Bible and it hit me. That's not a weakness. That's the greatest flex in human history. And it predicted a crucifixion 700 years in advance before crucifixion was even a thing, and then pulled it off. And the Bible was written by kings and shepherds and fishermen and ex-cons, poets and prophets. And I saw that as the most chaotic writer's room of all time. But somehow it tells one story, one Messiah, and one rescue mission. And bro, I can't even get my roommates to agree on a lunch. And you're telling me 40 authors across 1,500 years just accidentally lined up on Jesus? And honestly, if it was all written by one guy, I wouldn't trust it. And no offense to Mormons, that's how culture works. And that's what the Quran actually is. It's one man, one book, one power structure, which to me isn't some kind of unity. That's narrative control. And the Bible, meanwhile, survives every regime, every empire, every attempt to burn it and ban it and just bury it in the ground. And it's still preaching to this day. And now you've got over 300 prophecies all landing on one man. In what world is that a coincidence? To me, that's case closed, historical accuracy from cover to cover.
That's awesome. Yeah, case closed. Historical accuracy from cover to cover. He's like, what book has 40 authors written over 1,500 years? Mind you, on about 3 different continents, right? And it's crazy because all of it comes together as everybody's doing the same thing, talking about the same thing, Nobody's contradicting another person. I've had so many people come up and ask me when I'm in these conversations, like, well, why does the Bible contradict itself so much? And the young guy said it here, the Bible's written by ex-cons, fishermen, shepherds, poets, and he's like, it's crazy. He's like, I thought all of this was too much, but it's actually like the biggest flex in the world. And I think that that's one of the greatest statements to put about the Bible. It is one of the biggest flexes in the world. When you read it to understand it with an open mind and heart, and you're not reading it like you would read freaking Dr. Seuss or something by Dean Koontz, then you actually start to see it is for what it is. You're not going to see it just reading it like a book. Anybody can read it like that. I've had therapists do that to me and then try to kind of tell me what they think their take on it is from a therapeutic standpoint. And it's like, some of them have come close, but it's like they missed the mark as far as the spiritual concept of it all the way, because they're reading it like human eyes. They're reading a book like that instead of reading it as a spiritual book written to spiritual beings. So yeah, biggest flex ever. And I've had so many people ask me why the contradictions, and it's just like what the young guy said here. It's like you have these people of so many different sectors writing, right? This would be like a construction man, a doctor, right, an ex-con, and what do I want to say, I guess you could say a poet, but there's a certain type of speaker I was looking for, I was going to say, but it would basically be like a poet. If you have those 4 different categories of genres of people writing, right? This guy's a construction worker. This guy's a doctor. This guy's an ex-con. This gal's a musician. All of their stories, or even if it's not a gal, it's a guy, all of their stories are going to look a little bit different because they all do something different. They all operate differently in their day-to-day lives, right? We can go as far as to say a doctor is probably way more meticulous and attentive to things that a musician probably could care less about, right? And a construction worker might pay really close attention to measurements and care about numbers and rulers, whereas the musician is like, who cares? I don't need that. I'm not going to focus on that. But if they all had to write the same exact story, there would be things that would stand out to the construction worker that wouldn't stand out to the doctor. There would be things that stood out to the doctor that wouldn't stand out to the ex-con. There would be things that stood out to the ex-con that wouldn't stand out to the construction worker, and to the musician that wouldn't stand out to the doctor. But they could all still tell the same story. It's different vantage points, right? So it's not that the Bible contradicts itself. It's just that when you read it like that and you're reading it to find something wrong, that's when the questions come. And people are just like, oh, well, what about the fact that, in the Gospel of John it says this, but then I don't see that in Luke. And it's just like, we're literally talking about 2 different people. Luke's writing from a totally different perspective as a doctor, right? John's writing from the perspective of a young man who's gotten older and he's been following Jesus for a really long time. These are not contradicting themselves. It's just that people don't look at it the way they would look at just people in real life. Just like what I do in my everyday job. As somebody who works as a chemist in a chemical company, there are certain things, and I do investigative work in my job. There are certain things because I have to pay attention to detail and I have to find things that will stick out to me that somebody who probably just does bench chemistry might not even notice, right? That someone who's a police officer might not even pay that much attention to. So we really have to think about it like that. And that's why I love the Bible so much, because it is what he said. It is truly one of the biggest flexes in history. All right, guys. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys hanging out on the corner with me. It's always fun. We're going to end a live stream for tonight. Tomorrow's Friday. So Friday, we'll be back on around the same time, but a little bit earlier than Friday. And I believe next week we'll be able to go back into our more reasonable times, definitely before 10 p.m. because I actually prefer that. But how my schedule goes and where it works out, I just make sure that I'm on here daily. All right, guys. So with that being said, I'm going to end the live stream. Until tomorrow, take care of yourselves, take care of one another, love yourselves, and love one another, and be peaceful.